Hello everybody, my name is Sarah Morton and I'm a product designer slash researcher, and today we're going to be fixing a $190 million company CRM tool. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Taking a look at the product, this is a screen of the CRM system. It's a pretty simple screen, but there are a couple of flaws and inconsistencies that we can fix. But initially, if you look at how the product is broken up, we have a left nav section, then we move towards a table which houses categories that respond to the company, and then company information like LinkedIn, last interaction, communication strength, etc., etc. So initially looking at this product, it is very, very data heavy, specifically in terms of the table. We can improve on that a little bit to make it a little bit easier, kind of reduce a little bit of overload that users may experience. This product has a lack of hierarchy, so much so that there's no level, there's no structure, there's no priority within the screen. You have a company tab right here, another company tab right here, another company tab right here, and they're all the same size essentially. So there's no hierarchy in terms of what you should be paying attention to first. I'm also going to experiment with some AI features, manual data entry, especially a product like this that relies heavily on automation. I think an AI feature of some sort could be pretty cool and pretty helpful. I already took some inspiration, and I think my main source of inspiration that I'm going to use is this Notion table. So I've already made nav bars like these, so I won't remake it again. That's the thing about doing multiple redesigns. It becomes very easy to just plug and play. We're gonna go through customize the navigation bar. So I see that there's no search bar with this specific product, so I'm gonna switch out that search bar. I don't have this icon for quick actions. We can make this actually. Let's see if we can find this command symbol. There we go. And this can be it's actually backwards. Then this can be our little button. And then we can make one similar, and then we can use this in our search bars. And I'd say that works pretty decently. Okay, so next and then one thing I noticed is that this says no favorites, and then this list is also open. You can tell by the icon. This list is also open, but it doesn't say no list. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna switch that icon up. No, I'm gonna keep this icon down, and then I'm gonna switch these icons up. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing, so I've just finished up placing all the icons for our tabs, and I also kept a little bit of space between each tab because here it's kind of tight, not much spacing. So I put some spacing in there to allow some breathing room. So what I'm going to do is 1920 by 1200, and then in our frame I'm going to throw our nav in there. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to experiment with some layouts for this main section of our screen. One thing that Notion does is they like to keep everything in the middle by default. So we could experiment with that, default to the middle of the screen. So for us, that'll be about right there. So one thing that I want to kind of test out is, what if we allowed users to create different types of views? So that depending on who you are, you use the product a different way than somebody else. You could create a new view that doesn't have this type of structure or layout, and you could create a whole unique view. Let's say you were somebody who really didn't care about the followers and you just needed to know the company, the categories. Maybe you could add a completely new view, just focus on those things specifically, and then label that view. That way, when you're collaborating on something and different people are viewing this, they can go exactly where they need to go to find the information that they need to find. Maybe that might be what this button does, but doing it this way will make it more obvious. It'll make it more obvious and easier for people to understand. Essentially what I'm doing is taking inspiration from this Notion view. So the ability to make different views. So maybe we have all companies, and then we have sales. We have a sales view. We could name this view, maybe marketing wants a view where they only care about numbers. And so now we have different views. And so because we're just working on this view, we won't change anything in the table. So I will make that and then get back to you guys. I managed to get a pretty solid table design. One problem that I'm running into is that the categories are tags, and they are really colorful tags. It's not the easiest thing on the eye. I wonder if we can do something about that, because I don't want to hide it. You could obviously always just hide it, but I do want to kind of come up with a solution for something like that. Maybe we can just, what if we could do a 16 by 16 dot, and then just use the color, and then put a icon so that if the user needs to refer to what color correlates to what category, they can just hover over, and then instead of doing a whole bunch of words like this, we can just use these colors. And yes, it's a far-fetched idea, but I think it's a lot better than crowding the screen with text and colors. It's a far-fetched idea, but it's one worth experimenting. Maybe do something like that. I like it. I think it could work. So there's a sort and filter. I'm gonna grab this import button. What if we throw our import button up in the same level with, or something like that? And then I think I am gonna keep this button black just to add some hierarchy. Alright, we have to make our first iteration. What else do we need? We need another row, and this row will be sort of an automation row. This bottom sum row, like in Excel they'll have a sum row. Notion will also have a sum row, and so here we'd have essentially what would be our sum row. So yesterday my camera cut out, but I was able to finish the full redesign. So I wanted to come and give you guys an update on what the final screens look like. So let's get into it. So as you can see here, we were able to finish the redesign. I went and added some icons and some logos. I also added a couple more buttons, and compared to the old product, it's a lot more spacious. We added some elements of visual hierarchy here in the companies tab so that users know exactly where they are without having to look at the side nav. I think it is a very cohesive looking product, and I think we really tackled the main concerns of visual hierarchy, manual input, just overall a lot more intuitive for users that aren't really used to data heavy, data dense platforms. And so I think we were able to communicate a very effective solution. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you would have done this design differently, make sure to let me know in the comments. I will see you guys in the next redesign video. Thank you for watching. Peace out.